Welcome to Retirement with Jim. So today, Medicare, are you prepared? So before we get started, if you like my channel, please subscribe, helps the channel grow. If you like the content, hit the like button and leave comments. Love to hear from you. Today's subject comes from one of my subscribers who wanted information about Medicare. So let's get started. So Medicare, you've got traditional versus the Advantage plan. They both are good. When it comes to choosing, there isn't a right or wrong one. It's really because choosing what you choose for Medicare is all about your personal needs. What your health is and what you think is going to suit you best. So don't let anyone tell you it's a right thing versus a wrong thing. It really just comes down to what suits your needs really the most. So in terms of signing up for Medicare, you have 3 months before and 3 months after your 65th birthday to sign up. And if you don't sign up in that time window, you'll be penalized. You'll pay a higher premium for life. So don't let that happen to you, because it'll be a costly mistake. So and if you are if you were at 65, well, let's say you're still working and you've got health coverage and you don't want to sign up. Well, you still got to go in and then tell them that you are still working and you're not retiring and you're going to defer signing up, and they will push it off and there's really no issue. But you got to do those things. You got to take care of that. So Medicare. So part of Medicare, you got the Part A, which covers the hospital. Part B is your doctor, your labs, and everyone pays, whether you're traditional Medicare or Advantage, everyone pays the monthly fee, which is $185 a month. So, no one gets away from that. And if you are a high income earner, then you're going to pay up to $685 a month. So it's it's all based on income. So if you take the Advantage plan, you can switch to the traditional plan in your first year, no issues. But what they don't tell you too often is beyond that time period, you're subject to a medical review and you can very likely be denied. So in that first year, they suddenly discover you got some issues and you feel it's better, for you money-wise on traditional, once they kind of know, it's not, they don't need a lot of reasons to say denied. So then you are stuck with the Advantage plan, even if you wanted to change. So it really begs the question, choose wisely. Think about your and really it comes down to your long-term health. It comes down to, what your health is, your health history. For me, I have the traditional and I have the G plan. And I have that, and I went that route because I have health issues. I've had a heart attack, I'm diabetic. I have things that, that need attention. And so it made sense for me to have traditional in a G plan, because in the G plan, I can choose any doctor I want. I can go to any hospital I want. I don't have to have pre-approval for any kind of specialist I have to go see. So I love freedom of choice. The traditional plan gives you freedom of choice. Now the G plan does cost. It's costing me $149 a month. But you know what? Well worth it. I have a $240 yearly deductible. Once I make that you can make that one office visit, one lab trip, and once you make that $240, everything else is paid for after that, 100%. You don't have the 80-20 rule. Probably one thing that they don't talk a lot about with the Advantage is not everything's covered, and you're going to have deductibles. So you got to choose wisely, again, as I say again. The annual sign up is October 15th through December 15th. But you can sign up at any time if you turn 65, and or if your situation changes, like you lost your job and you're old enough to have that. There are exceptions where you can get in. Um, so now the Advantage Plan. The Advantage Plan, if you are someone who is in good health, it might be a great plan to have. In many cases, their premiums are zero. The average monthly premium for an Advantage Plan is $17. So from a money standpoint, it's actually great. Now, that's a good choice. But on the downside, you got to stay in the network. You are so the network for the doctors, network for hospitals. If you're someone who is traveling, you could find that if you had to go for a doctor visit or a hospital visit, you could end up invariably incurring some costs because you are out of network. So it's something to think about when it comes to the Advantage Plan, because that at that point, people like to make fun of it and call it the disadvantage plan, but it does have a downside if you are someone who plans on traveling. So it's important to know. So along with that, you you got to stay in their network, as I said, for the hospital and the doctors, and you must get pre-approval for, if you got to see a specialist for something. So you're waiting on the insurance company to decide, and you hear lots of horror stories about people who get denied, for the coverage they need. So, and I'm not here to run a horror story on it. Just the fact is that there are plenty that do get denied, and it's something to think about, something to consider. Now, I don't think the Advantage Plan is a bad way to go, simply because, yes, with zero premiums or even an average of $17, you can, and you can also get, they give some dental coverage and some vision that is not covered by, because dental and vision is not covered by traditional Medicare. But some insurance companies on the Advantage Plan do give a limited amount of coverage, something to consider. And these are things that you have to go in and explore. You can go on to the website for the Advantage Plan, and you can look at different plans in your area and try to, and on there it shows the cost. And they actually, if you're turning 65, you'll get the book that they'll send you, and you can. I like the book better than, though they want you to, do it online and save some trees, but you know what? It's a lot easier to look at and go through. And you get to compare all the different plans, what they offer, what they cost. And so along with that, the next part of that is the D plan for your drugs. Now, if you are on the Advantage Plan, you don't get a choice in the D plan. They tell you this is who they're going with, and that's what you got. And so if you want a choice on something, again, that is something that necessarily isn't going to work out in your benefit or to your on your behalf. You're just going to have to deal with what they have. For myself, I have the D plan, and I chose and I looked at a number of different ones, and mine is costing me $16 a month. And it's not bad. I first started, it was costing me $8 a month, and it went up to 16. And still $16 a month, not bad, not bad at all. The nice thing about that is I get to choose. I get to choose. So every year at the when the annual sign up comes on, I'm not happy with my D plan provider. I can go shopping for a new one. So I'm not stuck with that for life. I can certainly look at that and say, I might want a different one. Maybe they're raising the cost too much. And you really have to look at it every year. Costs go up, and so whether it's how much they're charging per month, what they're charging for the drugs, and you get to look up if you're on certain medications. You can look all that information up, and you can then compare, what the different insurance companies paid for. So the next thing is Medicare does not pay for long-term care. So begs the question, Do you need some long-term care insurance? A lot of people, the average individual who goes into long-term care is going to spend $369,000 over the course of their lifetime, for long-term care. Just food for thought. Got to think about it. Again, goes back to your family history. What have you experienced in your family? What can you anticipate that you might experience? What is your general overall health? Are you in good shape? So if you are in good shape, I tell you that I think personally the Advantage plan is probably an excellent plan. Um, if you've got health issues and you want choice, you want control, then you want traditional. You want to be able to say, "Now I want to have say in who my doctor is. I want to have say in where I'm going, and I don't have to worry about getting pre-approvals." So for me, my comfort level was, yes, I'm going to spend more money, but you know what? I'm getting control over my health care. The decisions that are going to be made will be made by me, and to me, that's important. And so you got to ask yourself the same question. How important are making those decisions for you so you feel like you want to be in control of that? So that's kind of the long and short of it. A lot of it's all available. It's actually all available online. You can look it all up. It's easy to access. So take a look at it. Like I said, if you turn 65, you got 3 months before, 3 months afterwards. Don't miss the deadline because you're penalized and it'll cost you. And go online early. Do your research. It will really help you make some good choices, because this one choice, choosing what kind of health care you're going to have, is also going to have a large effect on your financial future. So take it seriously. Take a look at it. So with that, I'm going to tell you have a great day, and I will see you in the next one.